Hello, I'm Valerie McLennan. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. I hope you're well. This is my spiritual channel. It is Valerie Mac, Scottish, spiritual, and very funny. Allegedly. If you've been following me a while, thank you very much. And I hope you continue to listen and to follow me throughout 2026, ideally online, if you don't mind. And if you're a new listener, thank you very much. And I hope you continue to listen and tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell anyone, tell them what. Could you please, if you're listening to this, if you're enjoying it, even if you're not, could you kindly give people the link to my YouTube channel, Valerie Mac, Scottish, spiritual, and very funny. Thank you. Now, as I've explained previously, my intention behind this channel when I started it 3 years ago or so. 3 years. I can't believe that's been 3 years. I know. Anyway, the intention at that time was to share my own thoughts, my own beliefs regarding spiritual, the spiritual laws, spiritual growth, why we're here, the belief that I personally have in my Creator, to share it with people that are interested, who maybe have been on this path and slipped off, who maybe haven't ever looked at it. And if you ask them, they would probably say, don't believe in anything. Now, I'm only ever speaking about people I've known. I'm this age, I'm the age I'm at today. What's that? That's not important. Thank you. And I'm at this age now, and can you imagine the different people I've spoken to over the years? Some people are very well, they're on this path, they've been on this path all of their life, the majority of their life. And some, as I said, have been on, kind of maybe lapsed, and they've kind of gone a different path. Other ones, it's not even looked at it at all. Some people, it's been a great surprise, a big great surprise when I've been speaking to them, and they find it very enlightening. That's a nice word. Write that, put that in your fridge. I'm very enlightening. I am. And they found, obviously there are people, I appreciate this, there are people on earth who just wouldn't be interested in this. The question I would ask is, why are you listening to this? The heading, Valerie Mac, Scottish, spiritual, and very funny. So I can only assume, if you've been attracted to listening at all, that you have some interest, that you're maybe even just open to hearing. That's all I can ask, is that you're just open to listening, to my own opinion. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to share what I know without a shadow of a doubt has saved my sanity. It has saved me along, when every challenge comes along in life. I have always, since I was young, I've mentioned this previously, since I was very young, I would have said I was very spiritual, very tuned in, very aware of my Creator, etc. from a young age. It's only grown, obviously, throughout the years to where I am today. I've spoken about it many times with people. I wouldn't kind of force my opinions onto people, but if they were asking. But I found on this path, I've always kind of been approached and asked my opinion on different topics. And, and some of the topics, there's maybe situations I wasn't even in myself, which I thought isn't that odd? Isn't that odd? Anyway. But what I find is I've been able to kind of speak to people, they get reassurance, they've listened. Now, this is something I want to mention on here. And I mentioned it previously. I have said this more than once. There's a big difference between listening and hearing. You could be listening to me and not really hearing what I'm actually saying. You're not registering the points I'm trying to make. What I ask you to do from this second on, if you don't mind, I ask you in a very kind way, try really listening and hearing, and more importantly, taking action in your own life. I know, and I've said this in the past, I wouldn't have started this channel 3 years ago if I wasn't fully conscious in my mind, my body and my spirit of the importance of putting myself out there. And if you think about it, this topic is not, it can have, people react in all different ways. I had to make myself very, very vulnerable at that time. I kind of thought, and not only am I discussing this topic, some people talk about it in a different way. I'm very unique. I noticed that as well. No. But I speak from a very, very personal point of view. So I'm not even just giving you brushstrokes of spiritual laws and talking about the spiritual on a very, very casual way. I, in the last 3 years, have been talking from a very personal point of view sharing very personal stories from my own life and putting my opinions out there. And the intention behind it all is for people to take the tools and use it for their own good. As I said in a kind of a jokey way years ago, but I know what I mean, and that's all that matters. I wish I had known someone like me many, many years ago, when I was kind of growing up and doing this. I would have loved to listen to me. I'd have loved to listen. No, I would have loved someone that was maybe open, discussing it in a different way, maybe in a kind of a more natural way. I can't be much more natural than I am. Do you know? I'm not even scripted. Well, that's so obvious. I'm not scripted. I am speaking as the words are coming into my mind and out of my mouth. I don't believe in being scripted. If I don't know at this stage of my life, if I don't know this topic inside out, if I don't know why I'm here, if I don't know my beliefs, something wrong. So what I'm trying to do with the channel, as I said 3 years ago, my intention was I could feel at that time, especially since the pandemic. I know that's more than 3 years. Since those years, I can only speak from people I know in the circle I'm working, etc. There are people more open to it now than maybe would have been in the past. Could obviously be the challenges in life. We're all facing challenges like never before. I personally believe, we're living in a world where the majority of situations in life can look and appear on the surface to make us, each and every one of us, feel, if we allow it, very vulnerable. Now, if you're on this path, it's certainly not an easy path to be on. Let me stress, it's not easy. You've got to do the work and you've got to have a stubbornness going through your core. Can you imagine the people that try and push you off this path all the time? But what about this? If there's trouble, just to give you an example, as I said, I just speak as it's coming into my mind. Each and every one, and I only ever speak from my own point of view because I'm entitled, surely, to my own beliefs. So anything I'm saying, if you've got a different opinion, I won't lose my mind over it. I'm quite happy to listen, to share, and this is all we're doing. It's just sharing thoughts and hoping it helps. Now, you think, if you're on this path and you're talking about a creator and you're talking about the world and you're talking about it in the way I do, can you imagine the opportunity, when the opportunity does arise, maybe if something happens in your life, maybe this, maybe that, the first chance someone will get is, where was your God now? People are very quick at that. Now, there's someone, I don't know them personally, but there's someone I'm aware of who recently lost a son and who's on this same path, talking the same talk that I talk. And as I said, I don't know this person personally, but I'm aware of them. And the first thing that she was aware of at this time after she lost her son were people knee-jerk. All right, where's your God now then? Where's this good creator now? Where's this, And there is a tendency, if you leave yourself vulnerable, if you put your words out there, there's always 1, 2 or 10 who are ready to pounce. Now, the only way I can articulate this and hope you understand it from my own personal point of view, because people do obviously say to me, if there was a creator, why would we be facing this? All the hardships, all the worries, all the stress, all the situations that people face in life. Now, as I said, I won't know until my last gasp on earth and I leave here if I'm right or wrong. All I can do is teach what I've learned, what I've read, what I'm aware of, what my inner world tells me, what my natural instinct tells me, and what my knowledge of reading and being aware of the world that we're living in. I can only share that with you, and that's what gives me the core belief that I've always had. It's a stubbornness. You've got to cling to this. I personally believe without the challenges we face in life, we wouldn't grow. And as I said in the past, I used to hear, like maybe my grandmother's age or something, when I was younger, saying, it's the difficult times that make you stronger. Now, I hated that at that time. I thought, I don't want difficult times to make me stronger. Can I not just be stronger anyway? But in hindsight, and if you think about it in the cold light of day, when things in life are flowing along, things are going, that 1 hour that you get a year when there doesn't seem to be a challenge. That day, I think it's a Tuesday, about 4 o'clock to past. I know. On those occasions when life is maybe just going along, and for that few minutes, or for those few hours, there's nothing to concern you. You don't tend to look at this. You tend to think that you're doing it all in your own ego, and you tend, in a natural way, to take all the credit for your own life. This is just nature. I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you very much on my own. At that time, I'm only ever speaking about people I know and conversations I've had. Not everyone, but just human nature. If everything's going okay, you pat yourself on your back, say, look at me, and you're kind of run through with your ego, and that's it. Everything's going wonderful. The minute the curveball comes, which will come, and life hands you a different card. Those are the times that sometimes people that don't, in my opinion, that people have known, that don't even have a belief at all, suddenly find that they're praying, they're asking for help, they're shouting up to this creator, to this God, whoever it is that they didn't believe a minute ago, who would have put up a good argument that this person, this creator, this situation didn't exist. When the curveball comes, the ego then means nothing. Your badge means nothing. Your title means nothing. Hence, people sometimes at that point think, oh, maybe there's something out with myself, So this channel is drawing your attention to self-awareness. You can't afford the luxury of going through life always just kind of staring outward, not looking within. You have to have a degree of self-awareness, quite a high degree, I would think, because if you're going to grow spiritually, or if you're going to have any growth within yourself, obviously you have to look within yourself to find out what's your problem. To find out, what level are you on? Where is your belief? If I do, I've been doing this for 3 years. If you look in yourself as a car with petrol, I've got an electric car, If you look in yourself with a petrol gauge, where would you gauge yourself on the spiritual path, in your belief in any kind of creator of the universe? Where is your gauge? Is it at the bottom? Quarter of a tank? Half a tank? Full? Where is it? Now, if you take that as your starting point and become more self-aware of the decisions that you're making in life, and more importantly, why are you making the decisions you're making? Are they coming from your ego? Are they coming to improve something in your life? Is it coming to improve, heaven forbid, someone else's position in life? All right, where are you? Why? And look at the decisions that you're making. Many, many people I know and I've had conversations with over the years, if you offered them something, if you made a suggestion, whatever it was, they will admit, and they have admitted to me over the years, first thought that arises in their mind, what will people think? What will this person think? What will that person? Now, if I allowed what will people think to be the ruler in my life, I wouldn't be doing this talk. I wouldn't be talking to you now. I wouldn't have put myself out there. I wouldn't even be discussing this topic. I wouldn't be there. There's got to be a level of vulnerability. If you believe in something enough, and if you believe there's a path that you're supposed to be on, and there's a purpose, and that you're supposed to be doing the work that I do on this earth, you shouldn't even leave brain space for something, what will people think? That should be nowhere in your thought pattern, because you should have moved on from there a long time ago. If you're going to grow in this, you can't allow that. People will say, people will do, just human nature. People will think and people will do, and people with this, whether you're doing something or you're not doing it. You've got to put those kind of childish, kind of immature thoughts away, and you've to step in to the purpose and step forward if you believe enough in it. If you want to go somewhere and you feel it's something you should be doing, as I said, I've been on this path for many, many years, and if I had allowed what would people think, I wouldn't have moved forward. I'd be stuck, absolutely stuck. On the spiritual path, what it gives you, in my opinion, is an emotional resilience. So when you're facing challenges in life, even the good times, you've got a kind of an inner strength that I've said numerous times I wouldn't have had without, with all of the losses that I've faced in my own life, with all the challenges I've faced in my own life. If I had not had a belief as strong as I have over all of the years I've had, I don't know where I would be. And I'm honest enough to say that to you. I have used the strength that I have and the belief that I have and used this as an anchor for as long as I can think. And this is all the channel's about, to give it to you, for you to take it on board, for you to use it in your own life and to take it. Now, we're nearly in August. If I was to set you a question and say, when you started this year in January, if you were looking at this path, if you were looking at spiritual growth, spiritual development, etc., could you honestly say to yourself that you've moved on at all since January? We're nearly in August this year. Have you developed anything? Have you gone in reverse? I know people who say I've actually reversed. I'm worse than I was in January. Well, that's lovely. Oh, that's wonderful. You've got to keep stepping forward, and only you know the answer. Do you still allow people? Do you know, like the way I said it to you, and I have a joke about it, but it's actually true. I know people, it probably happens to myself, if I don't catch it quick enough, you could. This is what I mean. You've got to be determined on this path. You've got to be very, very well aware of your thoughts, your spoken word, and your actions. So what this path gives me, and would give you, if you're on it, and if you're still doing this, it kind of slows your mind down so you're able to catch the thoughts as they're in your mind before it becomes an action, before you speak the word out, etc. Because they're all creating. Your thoughts creating, your words are creating, and you catch it prior. And I've said it before, I know many people, and it's happened to myself over the years, if you leave your house and you go out in the morning, you feel quite chirpy, a wee song and a little skip, and you meet one human being who maybe says one sentence, one remark, and it can go, and you can feel deflated. Obviously, the person, who's delivering the line or the sentence tends to be negative. Now, if you're not in control of your own mind, your thoughts, you are allowing another human being to completely ruin your day. How many times do you hear people saying, do you know this? I went off to work this morning, I felt quite good. I'm in that blooming office. Oh, for goodness sake. The energy leaves my soul, my heart, my soul. I know. People are very dramatic, aren't they? Now, that in itself, although it's funny, should tell you all that you need to know about the world being energy. Nothing has actually changed. Nothing in the world has changed except someone, another human being, has spoken a word through the energy in their mouth. You have taken it personally. Now, if you stop at that point, if you refuse to take that words out of their mouth and take it as your reality, it doesn't go any further. The only way it goes further is if someone says something negative and you say, oh, that's me, and you accept their insult and you pack it onto your mind and you say, that's it. That was for me, that. And you're then all deflated. Now, nothing in the world has changed. The world is still spinning. The earth is still moving forward. All that's happened is, I said, someone said something out of their mouth, a word, and you've taken it personally. Now, freedom of choice. You could have declined. In that thing, you can just say, is that how you feel? I decline, and walk away. I have walked away in the last 2-3 years, I've walked away from more negative situations than I have on my entire life on planet Earth. Because in the last 3 years even, I'm only going as far as that, because I'm immersed in this world, I won't allow that anywhere near my life, because I know the damage it does to your mind, your body and your spirit. And if all that people can offer is negativity, I don't want it anyway. But thank you. And I say to myself, thank you for that negativity. Thank you for that very poor treatment. I decline. And I won't allow it to register in my mind. So what happens there, even if I did accept it, it goes back to the creator. Although I call it the creator of the earth, God, the creator, whatever name you want to give it, you're also a creator. You're creating with your mind, you're creating with your thoughts, you're creating with your words, and you're creating with your action. So you're a creator on your own way. I don't mean on social media, I'm a creator, I'm an influencer. Oh, are you really? Well, I'm influencing you now to think about this. Just think to yourself, why are you allowing other people's criticism to become your reality? It's not your reality. It becomes your reality when you say, oh yes, I must take that personal insult to myself. Now, I said a while ago it was meant in a funny way, but people related to it and said, oh no, it's me. If they go to a social evening where they're around different people that they're normally in their circle, not even out with their circle, if they're in their own circle, but it tends to be very negative. They go in and they feel okay and they come back out 5 minutes later and they're exhausted emotionally because the people in there are negative, they compound it and they drain the life energy out of the person. Now, the person themselves, if you were on this path with me and you were listening to me, you wouldn't allow that. I've closed more doors emotionally in the last few years, and it's not, in some ways it is a kind of stubbornness, ruthless thing, because I am not handing my power and handing my mind and handing, my emotional health, to be blunt, over to someone who's only just going to offer me criticism. Thanks very much. I don't mind a discussion. I don't mind other people's opinions. But if people are just if that's, their career path in life is just to kind of throw emotional daggers and to try and upset as many people as they can, including myself, no thank you. So you better just to kind of try not to leave yourself in those situations. And people that have your best interest at heart, they don't do that anyway. They don't do that. Why would you? Why would you be in that position if that's what people are doing? No. So number one, you've got to be very aware of the situations that you're allowing to go on in your life, because to some points you could be enabling those situations to go on. Other people can offer criticism. You don't have to accept. It doesn't mean it's true because another human being says it. Usually the human beings, in my opinion, that say it are miserable themselves. And what they're doing, misery likes company. Well, I don't want your company. Misery, no thank you. You know what I mean? Happy people don't dish that out. Happy people won't offer that type of response. People that kind of keep offering you negativity, keep looking for your faults. So every minute, every second of the day, you, and there's never anything nice at the end of anything. And you walk away, you think, goodness sake, is there anything about me that's no, I didn't think so. If you allow those characters to become your reality, you're enabling that. So this is on the spiritual path. I'll wind it up now. Look at time. If I was to wind it up now, it's just really offering you the tools to be aware of the world that you're in, why you're here, what you're supposed to be doing. Don't take all the stuff that comes along. We've all faced challenges. I'm not a stranger to challenges myself, trust me. It's how you react. It's the same in life. It's how you react to the situations that will either get you through. As I've said previously, look on it like a challenge. I like this one. I made this up before. I'm going to say it again. I'm allowed to say it against my channel. No, I should say this more than once. You're standing beside me. We both get a challenge each. Look on it like a hurdle. Like when the hurdles the athletes get, the hurdle's there. You've got one in front of you. I've got one in front of me. I climb over that hurdle and you go on. You climb over yours. The second one, if you're not in this path and your mind is running amok and you're allowing everyone's negativity to hold on to you, I'll reach the second hurdle and I'll step over that one. I'll keep moving forward. If God wanted you to keep staring backwards, God would have put your eyes at the back of your head. They're in the front of your face for a reason. Just saying. I'll go over the second hurdle. If you're still staring backwards, you'll trip over the next hurdle. And what happens is you reach the third hurdle and you'll be carrying hurdle 1 and hurdle 2 emotionally on your back. Same for the rest. I'll keep going over them, keep looking forward. I'm not looking back. I've already been there. It was dire straits. No, I'm not doing that. And, why would you keep looking back? If a situation's challenging enough, don't keep staring backwards and going, oh, do you remember that? It was awful. Listen, move on, move on, move on. What happens is you're beside me, you're maybe staring backwards, playing it back. Then you're carrying hurdle 1, hurdle 2, hurdle 3. Can you imagine what you're like at the end of hurdle 9 or wherever we are at the end of life? You'll be there, I'll be there. This is the way you train your mind. So hopefully sometime in the not too far in the future, you may hear me speaking face to face. I know people keep saying, I'd love to hear you speaking, face to face when I can see you. Well, you know what they say, ask and you shall receive. Thank you very much for your time. Speak to you soon. Please take all that on board. Rewind, play. All of this. I wouldn't have started the channel. I wouldn't have put myself out there. I wouldn't have started any of this 3 years ago if I didn't think the time is now. People are looking for something different. People are looking for an answer. People are now, people I'm aware of, are looking for something different. Here I am. Thank you for listening. Look after each other. Take care for now. Bye-bye.